Knights are one of the best combat units in the demo, especially on expert mode. They have this ability that allows them to attack and then kill, and then attack and then kill again, and continue doing this until all the enemies are dead or their hit does not kill. They also have virtually no weaknesses as long as you have someone in the front defending them. Their only real weakness is Griffin Knights, which are pretty easy to block, though the Griffin Knight itself can be hard for the Knight to hit. There's a way for the Knight to counteract this and hit the Griffin Knight, but typically they have like few weaknesses when used correctly. Now, the starting Knight you get, Clive, is actually very good. He has kind of like middle initiative, decent physical attack, and overall like average stats. His growth types are precise and defensive, but you can always recruit a new Knight and change their growth types to whatever you want. So the actual Knight itself has 5 stamina, is a type cavalry. It also has a spear and a shield, so any light shields you can typically use, and any spears you can typically use. It also does 2 times damage to infantry, which is most of the game. A lot of the game is infantry, at least in these earlier demo stages. Maybe later on this changes and Knight kind of rotates in and out based on enemy team compositions, but for now, it's pretty crazy. It has really high mobility of 300, and it has a stamina of 5 if it is the team leader. Its leader effect reduces wait time, so that if you kill some enemies, take some position, you can wait, reset, and then continue pushing. So it's a very aggressive type of unit, and it's very aggressive type of like piece in your team as well. Aggressive in terms of mobility, and then in your team, it's a killer, so it just nukes everything down. All right, so for the abilities, we have Assaulting Lance, which this is like its main thing that it wants to be doing. When you kill an enemy, you get your action point back. Now what you can do is you can set this to attack lowest, and typically it'll just keep killing everything, assuming that the kills are available. But if they're not, then oh well. There's other things to do though. So there's Wild Rush, which can stun a column. Now this is good if you know you can't kill to use Assaulting Lance and you want to stun and get value off of that. It can be pretty decent. So this just hits a column for less damage, but it hits more enemies, so it's more damage overall. If this isn't going to be killing. This unlocks level 10. Quick Guard activates before being hit by a physical attack. It has, you know, a shield ability to tank, which is pretty nice. Apparently Medium Guard is 50% damage reduction, so that's pretty decent. Then it has Cavalier Call, level 15. Grants Cav allies within the user's row plus 20% attack. Now obviously, if you have a bunch of Cavs in a row, like in the front row it's dangerous, but in the back row this could be kind of crazy if you have a self-sustaining tank in the front. Now, obviously, you have to be like C rank for your army in order to get your units to 4 like total, because otherwise you can get to 3. So in order to upgrade your unit like capacity from 3 to 4, you have to have C rank, which is not it's not exactly easy to get, but you can get it kind of near the end of the demo. So maybe for like a few battles you can have it. But hitting level 15 in the demo, maybe it's possible. I haven't seen it. There might be some grinding guides out there on how to get a ton of XP, but as far as I can tell, the highest you can hit is like 10 or so, like 10 to 12. But this could be really good on a Cav squad with like a tank in the front. So who knows? We'll see. True Thrust. True Thrust, this is from the weapon he's using, Unwavering Spear. So what this does, it gives you a true attack. So one of the few weaknesses this class has is like enemies with shields and enemies that it can't hit. So if you need to kill some thieves, you can get this weapon early, and it actually helps you almost immediately, because there's like griffins with high avoid, there's thieves with high avoid, and any enemy with medium or high avoid. This will just help you kill them. So you can switch off Assaulting Lance, assuming it would miss, and then switch to True Thrust. We also have Wild Rush. This is a decent damage attack. 1.5 times damage if the leader is infantry. So if you hit an enemy infantry unit, like their leader is an infantry, you'll deal bonus damage. This is a pretty decent ability. It's also good just for repositioning. So for example, if I were to use it, it will immediately get me across here and damage these enemies, and then I can enter combat with this enemy. It's pretty good. It's actually pretty neat. Let's show it for fun. It does use 2 Valor points. And in the case of this fight now, yeah, so now we immediately kill this boss, which is pretty sick. So you can do some cool combos with this class. And you can also use it to reposition and hit as many enemies as you want on the way, and you can end up on a target that you'll kill. So pretty neat, pretty interesting. And we'll watch him do his thing here. Assaulting Lance. So that is an infantry, so it does a ton of damage. Which is a magic attack. It's probably similar damage to a normal attack, but it doesn't really matter. And then the Assaulting Lance combo. Now he didn't need the crit there, and he probably won't need a crit here if he gets one. Yeah, he just kills on might. Because the infantry bonus. So they're really good at nuking down infantry, rushing, grabbing space.
In service of the crown.
Alright, and then for example,
which brought us here. I'll prove my worth.
we could go to the fort, garrison, get that stamina tank here. So check this out. We can tank here, and we're going to be fighting these dudes, which we immediately destroy. So I'll go over weapons after this. We can skip this, we know he just one rounds it all, so he just kills it all. They all kill it, they tank, you get a heal. Pretty nice, you have a little bit of fun. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to these weapons. So we went over the skills, let's go, oh, and the Valor ability. Let's go over the gear and equipment. Alright, so Unwavering Spear is really good early, so that you can get another true attacker. So you get that archer in that thief map, like early on, and that's like the only thing that can consistently kill the thieves. But then you can also buy this early before that, so then you have two things, so your main units can just fight whoever. Once you beat the witch map, you can get the runic spear from a shop. This allows him to attack with magic to hit through tanks that would be tanking his attacks. So both of these allow him to hit through his typical weaknesses, which are armor and avoid tanks, which are pretty much most things' weaknesses, but being able to switch into either of these at will to completely remove his attacking weaknesses is pretty huge. And then of course you can always just run him on Templar Spear just for assaulting lance damage, and a lot of people tend to do this, there's nothing wrong with it. You can just bring a mage with you or some other source of magic damage in order to deal with physical tanks. But aside from that, Knight seems to be one of the best attacking classes in the game. And look at the mobility too. Look how fast they can get around. Here, I'll just have him return. Here, let's actually do this. So he's going to do that. We're going to deploy someone else. We'll compare their mobility. Let's compare to just like a simple ground unit. So they're gonna change bases, and we'll see who arrives first. You can just compare. So look at how much distance he covered. So he's not even halfway there yet, and he's already almost back. This is the difference mobility has in this game. Knights are crazy as hell, and the only weakness really is like Griffin Knights, but if you have a tank in the front, it's not even a weakness. So it basically has no weakness, at least early game. Late game, that might be different when the game ships. But yeah, look, he got there. So Alexa's group was like here. So a little bit above halfway there, and he got back in time. Like before he even got there. Like before he just hit halfway and he's already back. So that's the huge advantage of mobility. So this allows him to grab forts, gets 2 stamina back from grabbing a fort, continue pushing, and so on. This is also why Joseph is good. So if we deploy Joseph and he has a group, I had to use a stat booster there because I used the Valor skill. I'd use a Corn Dash. But Joseph's group, pretty similar. Now he's a different class.
As you wish.
He is, what is he? Paladin, which might be like the advanced form of a knight. We'll have to find out as we get class unlocking. But horse, like having a Joseph and having a Clive is pretty nice for the mobility. And of course there's always this too. I think you can deploy from here, right?
I'll not fail you.
You can always just, so like the knight can grab space.
I'm ever in your service.
So let's withdraw. The knight can grab space and grab a fort, and then he can deploy a slower unit. So like let's say we're running this, which the flyers are surprisingly slow, but then we can now deploy a flyer. And she can go, alright, these have no damage on that team. This team I think was bad and ended up changing it, but she can go do whatever now. So the knight can grab a fort to deploy from, be super aggressive, kill a bunch of things, and it basically acts as like a hard carry. And this particular formation I kind of recommend. So this team right here, this team is really good on expert mode. So for artifacts, or rare items or whatever, you can give him Templar Shield. There's other shields that have slightly better guard rates than Bronze Shield. But Bronze Shield is decent, Recruit Shield is okay. These are things that you can run that are fine. Gauntlets can be good for the guard rate. However, if you know you're not going to really be getting hit often in the back rank. There is an offensive shield on the one starting island. You have to fix the harbor to go back to it, and you can equip that for more damage. And then you can also just do something like Warrior's Medallion for more damage. It gives you +2 physical attack, then +10%, and then +10 crits. That's pretty good. Other things, you can go for crits on like Lucky Coin if you really want to. The bangles, doesn't really matter. Brown Beret, not bad. It's physical attack +8%. But running a Warrior's heal +10% use an active skill. This is, I mean, that's for tanks, I guess. But using Warrior's Medallion, I'd say is pretty good. He shouldn't really need tanking. He could also run Golden Egg, but really he should be on like Warrior's Medallion and the damage shield for maximum damage. And then also I recommend dumping
I'll prove my worth.
the stat boosters that improve damage. I've already used them all, but you get some from doing some of the basic missions and quests. You should use those, at least 1 or 2 of them on him to improve his damage. But that's it for Knights. I think it's one of the best classes in the demo. There are other classes that are good too, like Thief seems to be really good. You can completely cheese the Scarlet boss with just a Thief in your front line. And generally, Thief doesn't really have many weaknesses outside of archers, but the archers can be nuked down, or you could like put a shield on the Thief and he's fine. So yeah, definitely one of the best early classes for sure. Definitely run Clive, really good units. That's pretty much it for this one though. Definitely subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.